Okay, I'm looking for a new series to watch. I found Murderbot on Apple TV, and I have to admit, I was not really impressed with the first episode of this. And basically, I kind of felt like this is one of those shows where it's kind of like, and even the title, Murderbot, they seem to be implying that this is going to be about a robot that goes on some sort of killing spree or something like that. And here's the thing. Oh boy, I'd get into heavy spoilers, at least on the first episode, just talking about this now, but I want to try and explain to, as far as like what this show I think is trying to do, and there's only like 3 episodes of it, and I've only watched the first one, really, and I'll probably get to the finale when I get to the finale, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm really going to continue to watch this show. I'm going to have to see where it goes after the second episode, because this first episode was really underwhelming, I have to admit. Murderbot takes place in a world where space travel and establishing colonies in other worlds has been established. I don't know if there's any aliens in it. I don't really think there are. It looks like there are alien creatures in it, which makes a lot of sense, because I actually think that that might be the case here. Or there could be aliens. I don't know. That's a whole different schlack I don't really want to take up with. But essentially, yeah, the main character is a robot, but here's the thing, the show doesn't, it's very confusing how this worked. I actually thought that at the beginning they showed this robot, and by robot I mean like he was humanoid looking, or at least, yeah, that's probably the best thing. His face was covered by this thing, and I simply thought, oh, he's mechanical underneath. But they don't seem to do that. Apparently this guy is actually organic all underneath, and then apparently he's got like a suit or something that sort of works with him. So I kind of went like, okay, so he's not really a robot then. I don't really see why we are calling the show Murderbot. Maybe we should call it Murder Replicant or something like that. Because yeah, I feel like he's more like a replicant, like from the movie Blade Runner, than he is a robot. So this really confused me. And honestly, there's actually a scene in this, and this is where I'm going to get into a bit of a spoiler, where the main character is somehow able to shed his mask and then reveal that he's actually got a human face underneath it. Now, to me, I went like, okay, why do they even need these suits of armor around them? It just was a lot of things I really couldn't understand about this. And when you're doing science fiction stories, there's a lot of things of what's called world building, where you have to look like, okay, how does this world work, and why doesn't it work, and why do the main characters do what they want to do? And in this case, this main character, who is apparently like, they are still programmed with stuff in them. So I'm guessing how this works is they clone, or maybe they don't clone it, but they somehow make it the flesh in this thing. And they show that this robot guy, I'll just call him that for lack of a better term, was injured, and there's a huge chunk taken out of him. And the chunk doesn't look like, there's no red of blood there, but there are like what looks like internal organs, and it can be repaired very easily. They obviously have like this weird sort of healing machine that can kind of do that. And I guess the bots are made of some sort of material that can do that. So I guess maybe that is part of the world building, that it's like, okay, how does this work? I'm not really seeing like an explanation of this. Because this is one of those shows that's narrated by its main character, you know, like Mr. Robot, Dexter, or You. You know, one of those shows where it's like he has to constantly give his own take on this thing. And I'm not really certain that that really is working for this show. Because technically he is a robot, and in the first scene, he just says that human beings are a-holes, and I'm kind of going like, okay, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, if you're really trying to establish the tone of this show, I don't really think you're getting what you want to get here, because we already know that as human beings. So I'm not really certain what they were going for here. And then, apparently, Asimov rules applies for these robots. Like, they have to obey every command a human gives them. I don't know if they can essentially, you know, I don't really know. There's always, if you're familiar with Asimov's laws, they are contradictory. Like, you can work around them. And so I get the feeling like if a human tells a robot to kill someone, they'll probably refuse or something like that. I'm not really certain. And so at the very beginning, he has somehow overcome his, I forget the word they use, governing authority or something like that. It's one of those shows that I can tell is going to create a whole bunch of vocab and stuff like that you've got to learn in order to know what's going on. And that's fine. This is one of the things I kind of like about science fiction stories. But I sort of feel like that he overcomes this programming, but he doesn't really know what to do afterwards. He doesn't So as it turns out, he's being sent on this mission with some, I guess, colonizers. I'm not really certain what the term is. And I have to admit, these are like the 6 main characters who will be on the show. And I had to admit, this is a show that I didn't expect would have an ensemble cast. At least what I think was going on here. That there's some sort of strange ensemble cast that they have here. And honestly, I did not remember their names, and I didn't really remember their personalities. I really felt the first episode didn't really establish these characters well enough for me to get to know them. Except for one, who seems to have this sort of implant which allows him to access things, and I can tell he's going to be a little bit of a trouble for Murderbot a little later. I forget what the main character's name is. Let's just call him Murderbot for now. So, and he's played by Alexander Skarsgård, who's famous for... Yeah, I had to look it up too. Seriously, it was like he's that guy in that thing. Okay, that's how to describe this. So here's the thing. Here, there's on the very first episode, this group, who's I forget really their thing. Apparently, they're the way this world works is there's apparently this giant corporation or agency that is over all these planets, and so they send out one of this team is kind of like a bunch of hippie guys. That's how the Murderbot actually describes them. That's the exact word that they use. I think they're very different from the normal type of people that you would meet in this world. Well, so maybe this is kind of drawing me in now that I think about it. So now this government agency just says like it's standard procedure that we have a secure bot or SecBot or something like that, whatever word they use for it, to accompany you on your mission. So they buy Murderbot because he's the cheapest model. So while Murderbot is kind of there, they're investigating this certain, the team that he's with is investigating a certain hole, and this creature comes out and starts terrorizing them. And Murderbot's got lasers and stuff like that, and he's taken out, and there's actually quite a bit of effects on here. And I have to admit, I kind of went like, okay, this is... I feel like now we're getting these big budget sci-fi shows that I would have just ate up when I was a kid. But now I feel like they're so every day now that it's like I could have easily have missed Murderbot. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Murderbot goes through, and he's just so he saves the people there, and there's an issue here because he realizes that he actually breaks some rules as a robot in order to do this, and he's wondering if the team that he's working with is going to figure out that he's somehow overridden his programming. That appears to be the big thing that's going to go on here, at least in the first few episodes. Now I can't tell, I hope this is not a show where they milk out that aspect of it. I feel like that eventually, maybe in season 1, the group is going to figure this out. And I get the feeling like they're probably going to start treating Murderbot as a person, which I actually think that this show is sort of going with, is the idea of mortality as well as morality in this kind of situation. And I think that this is what this is going for. Now, I'm going to get to a big spoiler because there's a scene at the end where Murderbot just literally kills them all. And I went like, oh my gosh, is this show actually going to do that? And the answer is no. It turned out to be a big fake out death. I really hate it when this happens. I see this a lot where they just show a scene and then you realize, oh, that scene didn't happen, did it? That can be done very well sometimes, but most of the time it's not done very well at all. And I kind of felt like this case, not really sure where it's going with. If you like science fiction, you might like Murderbot, so I'm going to recommend watching the first episode at least, but I wasn't all that impressed, but I am going to watch a few more episodes and see if it grows on me.